call the August 25th, 2016 Historic District Commission meeting to order. We have roll call, please.
Kristen Keniston.
Here.
Scott Pope.
Here.
David Messier. Richard Warlick.
Here.
Okay, so the first order of business is to review the minutes from our July 21st meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look them over?
Make a motion to accept.
Okay, first by Mr. Pope,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Warlick. Any discussion? No? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion accepted. All right, we don't have any old business. We do have new business, and the first one is a certificate of appropriateness application for, and I'm hoping I say this correctly, DeGlasse?
Yes.
DeGlasse LLC, and this is for 40 Union Street. I'm going to have you step up to the microphone and introduce yourself, please.
Good evening. My name is Mona Shingaris.
Okay.
I'm here to present the request for the building.
Okay.
Does everyone have a set of these?
Yes, we do have a set of all the pictures. So if you want to just walk us through the list of the things that you would like to do to the building, and then we can ask some questions.
So the overall intention is to restore it to its as close as possible chosen original historic charm, in also reflecting what would be needed for, you know, what it is, which is a chocolate company. So my partner came up, who has an extensive building background, evaluated the building. I've looked at it additionally with contractors. And so the things we see that are imperative functionally are such as the windows need to be replaced. We would look to replace them with the same appearance, you know, the double hung. They would, of course, be, you know, double pane. We would like to maintain it with the, if you can still get them, the wood, you know, exterior, even though they don't, of course, you know, maintain as easily as other materials. But that would be our first desire with the windows. Also, the shutters that are there, I don't even know if we can get wood ones, you know, today that make sense economically speaking. But if we could, we would prefer to replace the plastic with the wood. If not, we'd try to get a composite material, something that looks as close to, you know, a more wood-like appearance for the windows. There's quite a bit of repair that needs to be done on the lintels and with the brickwork. We had several masons look at it. We're looking for another one that is well known in your area to also look at the building and see what we need. If it's possible, given the conditions of the brick, we would like to actually remove all the paint and restore it to the same brick, original brick colorations, so that it would match, you know, all four sides. If that's not possible, then we would like to paint it a color that makes sense relative to a chocolate business. So it probably would be more of a maple-ish, you know, chocolate brown sort of color with your approval. So additionally, on the exterior, the building doesn't have air conditioning, so we're going to have to put air conditioning in there for it to work as a chocolate company. Our first idea was, as we presented, to put the compressors on the outside and then just make sure that they're covered so that you wouldn't see them and wouldn't understand what they were, but yet, you know, still enough room so that they can, you know, function properly. So that we would really need to do, and we would match it, color match it to, if the building ends up being back to its original, probably something more of a red tone or a natural wood tone. Same with some planters around the front. We need to do something with that walkway. You know, it's rusted. It just needs to be repaired, and if it can't be repaired, it's going to need to be replaced, and then put some nice sort of planters around it to make, I mean, that corner seems to us to be a very important corner. It's a, you know, this is a gateway location, though, so it's a beacon building, and we'd like it to be as, you know, beautiful and clean and representative of Claremont's welcoming statement. So additionally, on the back side, speaking of welcoming, one idea we had is to put planters on there with hanging, you know, hanging plants. to give it attractive, appearance. And then again on the front, some awnings over the doors would be, helpful to the appearance of it. The front of the building is a little bit choppy on the first floor, so one thought we had on that is to replace the glass door with a wood door to match the other 2 doors that are there, and then run the wood framing, the same wood framing. We'd get it custom milled to match the framing that's there, that's in existence, so that it would just, smooth it out. Those signs would come down, because again, there's an eye level issue with them, and then instead, there's one small area where we'd have a more discreet sign. Given that we're not retail, we don't need, a large sign. It would just be a, yes, you found the right place. The storage shed is in not the best shape, and there's concern about erosion underneath on the footings on the back side. So it serves us no purpose, and with your permission, we would remove it and look for ideas as to what you would see complementary to replace it, maybe fencing or something that provides a safety, certainly, given its proximity to the river. So I think I hit everything.
I believe you did. Just looking back through your list. On your list, you had talked about tuck pointing 3 of the chimneys.
Yes, when the inspector looked at the building, as with all buildings, the flashing is insufficient, and there is concern that there would be erosion from water damage to the brickwork, and it needs at least some repair work, if not, in his opinion, replacement.
Okay.
So again, we had 2 masons look at it, and in their opinion, it needs repair. But if, it needs replacement, then we'd need your permission to replace. I guess just 2 out of the 3 would need to have, completely rebuilt.
Oh, okay.
And we rebuilt them to match. And again, it all starts with, can we take all that paint off and make the building, on all 4 sides look the same? Can we do that? And if
So-
we can, then everything, works from there.
So at this point, you're looking to repair, but with the option of replacing if you have to.
Yeah, if we have to. I mean, obviously, we'd like to be able to repair it.
Right. Okay. So we can go down through the list and discuss each item. So you guys want to do this? So we're going to just work our way down through your list and just ask some questions. So we're going to start with, on your list, replacing the second floor double hung windows. On your list here, you said that you wanted to do double hung vinyl thermal pane windows with a overlay mullion option. The windows, were you still considering vinyl? You had mentioned something about wood.
Well, with the wood, though, on there, I mean, when we go talk to what are your choices in windows? They're either steel, or they're vinyl. So, I mean, if you have an opinion one way or another, we're certainly open to that. But we would want the treatments on it, if still available, to have the wood.
The
actual
wood mullions.
wood.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've been in the habit of saying, stick with, if it's a 6x6, which I believe those are, stick with a 6x6 type pattern.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would stick
However
with-
you do that, I don't think we've ever really specified it. We've maybe made a preference, but to at least stick
For the
with the
material.
6x6.
I tend to agree with that. Whether you go with a wood or a vinyl, I don't think it's, in my opinion, a major deal.
Well, it would be a clad wood. I mean, we
Yeah,
certainly
right,
would
yeah.
really want to talk to you about the all wood windows in terms of the maintenance of them.
Right.
And
Right.
we'll get into the criteria of the building after, but it's at our highest level, and normally we don't do vinyl windows, but we have in the past, and I think
Right.
in something like this, it would still be appropriate as long as the exterior mullions are affixed in the same 6x6 configuration.
Yeah.
I
on the
believe we did the
outside.
same thing with the ink factory building,
Yes. Yep.
Which is also at the same rating.
Well, we'll look at the clad wood windows
Yeah.
also.
Sounds
So
good.
we can put that in with like the option where you can do either one. You can do the vinyl or the clad wood.
Thank you. Yeah, well, the price, of course, is reflective of the difference there.
Okay. And then you're wanting to replace the second floor decorative shutters with similar new shutters. And, oh, go ahead. Good idea.
I've seen those. I drove by this today and took a look, and realizing all the work you're going to be doing here, you are making significant improvements to a building that has had different pieces and parts put in it over the years by about 3 or 4 different owners now, and so a lot of your ideas are actually taking this building back to a lot of the original form with new technologies, and so it's very appreciated.
Agree with
Seems,
that.
seems to be a well-loved building. Everyone we've
Yeah.
talked to has smiled when we mentioned the address. So we'd like that same happy factor to continue with the chocolate company.
But thank you.
One thing I would like you to consider when looking at your shutters is that shutters, obviously when this building was original, the shutters were functional. People would actually shut them to cover the windows up. So when you're picking shutters, I think it would be appropriate to pick ones that are the same like width, like half the width of the window, you know what I mean? So like if you were to shut them, they would line up and cover the
Right,
openings.
it
the way
it
they're
drives
supposed to.
architects crazy when shutters are just decorative and you actually, in real life, couldn't, the math is off.
Right.
So they go berserk, right?
So
So-
we're hoping that you guys consider that. I'm fine with whatever for like a vinyl material. If it has to be, wood would be nice, but how do you guys feel about?
I don't think the material matters as long as it matches the historic idea.
I agree with, if we look at it from a mathematical standpoint, will the shutters cover the window if they were swung? I think that's going to depict what we're looking for.
Okay. Let's see, and then you were talking about replacing the aluminum and glass door with a wood door and casing similar to the existing wood doors. So that was,
Can you see that glass door that's?
that's where the
far right?
ramp is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Far
okay.
right.
Yep. Yeah, I think that would give it a much more cohesive look. I would be in support of that. So you'd be picking a design very similar to the ones that are there?
We try to get them milled exactly.
Okay. Oh, that'd be nice. Okay.
So, I mean, if you want to look right, you got to do it.
Okay.
So,
Okay. You guys have any questions on that one?
No,
Okay.
I think that's,
Moving right along. Add casing similar to existing around the 2 storefront windows.
yeah, again, the objective is to get the line on the eye to be, one level line versus
Oh, I see what you're doing.
the choppy that's happening right now.
You're basically widening it to match
Right. We're trying to get
the one at the end.
I mean, you're still having to do a little, trick because the building isn't the same, on one end as it is on the other. So you're trying to create visually, though, that it is.
Right.
So that it's more comfortable aesthetically.
And that would be out of wood or?
Yeah, we would match the materials, because even that doesn't look right if you change materials. Where it gets hard is if you've got really old wood, and then you've got, new green one, then you got to run around to salvage places and try to find that old wood to work with again.
Have any questions on that one? I'm happy with
so
that.
when I'm looking at that, I'm looking at the picture that depicts the little awnings. Are you going to try to create that image through the awnings, or are you actually going to increase the size?
So hopefully it reasonably depicts there that the wood would match the wood that's already there. The same width, same appearance.
Gotcha.
So that, again, it has more of a, a congruent appearance
Mhm.
across it.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And then the next one was to remove the header casing between 2 existing wood doors, which.
So can you see right here where you've got this unusual cross piece
Yes.
that's all the way across? The thought was just to cut this little segment out so that each door would have, again, the same appearance.
Okay.
It'd all have, wood casing around the door versus this unusual piece in the middle.
I know it's interesting, if you look at the picture on our survey sheet, it's not there. So that was added sometime after that picture was taken. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with the removal of it. How do you guys feel?
Absolutely.
Yep, take it off.
I think it makes sense when you look at it.
Yep.
And then in here, you had talked about painting all the previously painted surfaces, and I know you said you wanted to restore some of that to the original brick, which we highly approve of. That's very nice. However, if again, you feel that you can't do that, you are able to paint anything that already is painted. So any of the brick and stonework that's already been painted, you can repaint without having to go through us.
Okay.
Anything that's not painted, though, obviously you cannot paint. So we would just ask that you don't paint that side.
Yeah,
I think
the
the
back
one
side.
on the river, yeah, that's all open brick. So you'd have to leave it.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that.
Okay.
We wouldn't do that.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, we're just hopeful that if and when the paint gets blasted
Yeah.
off, we have brick left.
Yeah, exactly. We've already talked about tuck pointing the 3 chimneys.
Just general maintenance.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, just doing that. And then you have the HVAC compressor units on the ground against the south end of the building, and you want to construct a screen around the units using vertical board fence style and painted to match the building. So I'm assuming you're building the fence out of wood, or are you doing a composite?
Well, the preference would be to match, again, the wood that's on the rest of the building.
Okay.
That would be the goal. And of course, to paint it a color where you wouldn't look at that.
Not the focal point.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we just went through a deal with someone putting in a refrigerator unit and tried to have them match the building as much as possible, so that's certainly appreciated and
Yes.
certainly goes with the spirit of that.
Well, if we end up taking that shed down, we might be able to wrap that even further around the building so that it's even less, and screen it with plants or something to just make it a non-issue and yet still be available functionally. So,
I don't have any questions on that. Do you guys have any questions? Okay.
No.
And then you were talking about painting the concrete ramp to complement the building color. Now, was that the ramp you were talking about where you thought you might have to repair? Or did I hear that wrong in the beginning? That you thought that you might have to take it down and rebuild?
that ramp,
Yeah.
well, it's not brand new. And hopefully it can be completely repaired.
Okay.
So, and then if it is, it needs to be sealed in some fashion. So one way of doing it is painting it, whether it's with a clear coat, or with something that, gives it some help. And then around it, we'd like to, again, just make it more attractive,
Put your
with plants
planters.
or something that
Yeah.
improves it.
Okay.
It was never part of the original building, so that's
Right, that's my
almost a
thought.
non-issue.
Yeah, I think that it's okay to paint that if you feel you have to.
Okay,
To-
so it
to
can come out
preserve
if
it.
we need it to come out? Okay.
Yeah. As far as the planter boxes go, I'm assuming just wooden planter boxes at your building?
Yeah, again, we try to match it all up, right?
Mhm.
So that everything's same color, same composition, so that it has a consistent appearance.
Maybe if you did that out of brick.
Yeah.
That'd be fine too,
Yeah,
right?
yep, you can do it out of,
Yeah, if we can brick match it, you know about brick matching. Right?
Right.
yeah, whatever you want to try. We would be happy to approve for wood or brick.
Well, I don't know if you've seen people that do this. I've seen it a lot in Europe because they have a lot of historical properties. They have stains where they literally have people paint each and every brick with a stain, and then all of the grout with a different color.
Oh, really?
So that when they've had to repair, with, excessive amounts of new brick, they can still make the building completely, the same all around. But that's that's a process.
Yeah, I'm sure that is. I'm sure it's not inexpensive either. Okay, so I don't have any questions on the ramp or the planter boxes. I'd say, again, it's okay for the material to be either wood or brick for the planters. Okay, and then that brings us to the the window flower boxes on the second floor facing the river. I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, it actually improves the building
It
on
would
that side.
enhance it. Okay. And those would be wood?
Right. We try to make all the materials all the same so that it looks good versus, chopped
All
up.
right. And then onto the signs. So you had a couple of signs that you would want to take off. Those are the ones that are above the doors now, the black and gold ones. Say Claremont Flea Market and Ramona's Discount Food. And then you'd be replacing it with one sign
Feel free to get rid of those.
in the center there. What was that?
Feel free to get rid of those.
let's see.
That would definitely be approved.
What is the material of this sign?
Again, we'd probably want to have it wood, and then, I'll have to talk to the sign company about what sort of, composition would make the most sense. We'd want it to have not shiny, a flat surface. I mean, that's why I brought these. We have, a luxury look that we're doing. We want to keep it in sync with that sort of appearance, so.
What's the dimensions of this sign?
I'd have to measure it, but it would, I'm guessing from looking at this, it would be probably 2 feet by 2.5 feet.
It says 2 by 3 on this,
Did you say 2 by 3?
Oh, is it on there?
Okay,
24 by 30.
something along those lines.
Oh, yes, right there. Okay. Are you planning on lighting the sign at all? Are you putting lighting from the
We
top?
could. We hadn't planned on that. Again, we're not a retail
Yep,
or a restaurant. But we're not like saying, "Oh, come here," right at night. So I would
probably not.
do it if you wanted us to, but
Oh, no, we
Nope.
wouldn't suggest that. Just if you wanted to, we wanted to give you the opportunity to mention it and put it right in here with this application so you don't have to come back.
yeah, I think we're fine. I don't
Okay.
see any pickups or deliveries happening in the nighttime.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, though.
And
Very
then,
much.
you're welcome. And you wanted to install 3 awnings over the existing doors. Are they like canvas or?
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't do vinyl, because again, it needs to have that flat appearance. The vinyl's too shiny. I mean, they're easier to maintain, but it's not the look we're looking for.
So you would do canvas? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, canvas it's just more of a luxury look. So,
Gotcha.
and if you'd like it, we can come up with a design. We have quotes for just a basic thing, but once we get the approvals, if you'd like to see the final design, we'd be happy to present it to you.
I don't know, I'm pretty fine with just the idea of
Yeah.
it. I think that works good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and the color would be probably something, again, if this maple chocolate develops, the colors would make sense to be probably a more maple kind of color with the awnings and then the building more chocolate. Or if that doesn't happen and we end up with a brick building, which is red, then we'd probably try to bring some of the chocolate tones in on the doors, maybe a very, very dark chocolate color on the doors, and then again the maple with maybe chocolate embellishments on the awnings.
Okay.
Mhm.
We think, right?
Yes. That sounds
Sounds
good.
nice.
Yeah, it does. It sounds very lovely. And then the last thing would be to remove the wood frame-out building at the south end of the property, which is clearly not original to the building.
Right.
How did planning board feel on that?
I don't think the planning board would have any problem with that at all.
Doesn't
As
change
far-
any.
It's that, as far as removing it, no. It's putting it back. If you remove it and then you want it back, well, now you might have an issue. So,
We don't see that. If we find the businesses to that success level where we want to expand in that location, we would still need to have the property next door as, acquired for us. So most likely, if this goes like we hope, this will be maintained as a showcase location. Our thought is, downstairs would be a small operation, upstairs could be for classes, for learning how to do things with chocolate, the chocolate that we make. And we already want to put a kitchen in there so that, because we have to do a lot of content work, videos and so forth, that's, has the look and feel of what we're doing, so that, that could also have participation with the community, for a classroom environment.
As I recall, there was already issues with the floor on that storage building starting to rot out.
It's got many issues. The biggest concern Kevin had was that it looks like there's some erosion around several of the footings starting to happen. So then, that it just start moving down the hill. So rather than, experience
good.
that, we'll have to
So
see
I'll
about.
make sure that when we approve this, that people know the condition of that outbuilding,
Yes.
so that they just,
right.
I mean, we're not normally in the business of giving demolitions, but if something is in bad enough shape, it's
Right.
almost a situation where to keep the rest of the building usable.
And it's not part of the original
Yeah,
building.
I'd agree with
It's
that,
not
so-
threatening the historical integrity by
Yeah,
removing
so very
it.
good. So we get
I
that all
don't-
covered, we're good.
When was that built? I mean, that had to be built in, what, 40s, 50s or something?
Somewhere therein.
I mean, just, I remember, I worked at Ozersky's Hardware as a kid, and I remember, it seemed fairly new, I mean, construction-wise.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would be opposed to it being removed, so.
Yeah, everything we do will need to be temperature and humidity controlled.
Mhm.
And so that shed doesn't lend itself to that without significant amounts of rework. So when we analyzed it, for our use, it made more sense just to remove it, with your permission.
Now, what would, are you gonna put a fence up? I mean, what's your idea? I mean,
Well, I'm asking, for thoughts on that. I think we need to get a structural person out to determine how much concern is there with the erosion, and then from there, determine what needs to be done, and who would be doing that, because we're into the river line, and do we have the permission to, build retaining, or what should we do? A fence would be our first ideal for safety,
Right.
to put a fence up, but we need
Yeah,
some
I'd need to know more
input.
about that as well.
We need some input for that as what's best to do.
Have you folks talked to the building inspector about that at all?
I'm not sure in the discussions Kevin had when he was here whether or not that came up. He went through the building, with fire, with building. I was on the phone with fire and building, but of course, as you approach a property, you every time you go see it, you learn something more.
Right.
So I can't answer specifically.
I recall during the conceptual discussion we had, he had mentioned taking that building out
Yes.
as well. So-
Yep. And as far as when we make our motion to Forest, we could put it in there that she has the option to put up a fence, but we could push that off to another meeting, can't we? Like, we can ask her, she can come back and
As that
present
plan develops, absolutely.
without her having to go through the whole application process again,
As an amendment. kind
as an
of thing.
amendment,
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
What would be the materials, that kind of thing? Is that what you're
Yeah,
thinking?
Yeah,
yeah,
let's
design,
find
what's it
out
gonna
what they
look
need to
like,
do.
and,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we definitely want you to see that. I mean, we'd want it to be appearance-wise, pulling the whole building together, but yet not have it built in such a way that it becomes the focal point.
Mhm.
It needs to just be part of it that, meshes in, not is eye-catching, so.
No, it's interesting because the state came in to do some brickwork on a retaining wall down at Water Street. And there was never any talk about, did they need permission or anything, but again, that was the state, so I'd be curious to see how that falls, working next to the river, if you have to get a state permit for some reason, or, that's why I said talking to the building inspector would probably be the best start on what he'd be looking for on that.
Okay.
So the only other thing I wanted to add, I had a very, very brief discussion with David, who could not be here this evening, and he did mention that above the windows on the second floor, that there's a recessed space above the windows that, and when this building was original, it would have had plaster work that was to simulate granite, like a granite or stone, what's the word I'm looking for, lintel. And so he said that he would like to put the option out there to you guys to
stone.
include that, to restore that and put the plaster in there. Not that you have to do it, but he wanted to give you the option that we could work it into a motion that if you'd like to restore that, you can.
Well, certainly that would be a very attractive addition. So again, the stonemason, we talked to them about, again, what materials do you use today, and it would make sense to do it when the window replacement happens, to put in, the stone pieces above. Do we have pictures of that? I've seen some of the,
I don't know if we have any of that actual building, but if you look at the mill building that's directly across the road, you can kind of also see it a little bit in the corner of our picture on our sheet here.
All right.
It's got the actual granite
Same.
ones. So you
Okay.
can see what it would look like, but you could use, he's saying you could use plaster to simulate it, because they could have used that in that time. That would have been a material available to them.
okay.
Look for a few sources that might have those pictures.
Yeah.
Like, give names later.
So is there anything else you would like to add? Anybody else?
No, I just think it's pretty phenomenal to
Yeah.
get this building brought up the way it is.
Certainly appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. It has the right look in the right location with the right people. I mean, your city has welcomed us, with open arms.
Good,
So
glad to hear
I'm
that.
very pleased to be
We're
here.
glad to have you here.
Develop a motion.
Yeah. So at this time, I don't think we have any further questions. We might call you back up to speak some more if we have further questions, but you can take a seat if you'd like.
Certainly. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm just going to check, is there anybody here from the public that would like to speak on this application? No? Okay. So we're going to close the public hearing and we're going to move into our review criteria. Would somebody like to read the architectural inventory survey for me, please?
Oh, let's see, what part of it do we read? Okay, let's see, the architectural inventory of this building is 40 Union Street. It's a commercial building, current use, commercial, hardware, past use was antique, it was Zerski's, and then it's been an antique shop and a flea market. The rating of this building is 3, which is the highest rating that can be given for the historic district. It is a distinctive early 19th century store building, somewhat altered, built for an important local firm, situated on a critical lower village building. The period style is 1830s. The ground floor has been remodeled, added a 1-story wooden section between the front of the building and the street. Unusual recessed porch on gable end, elliptical arch. There are some other examples in Ascutney and in Claremont on Maple Street. The brick walls, masonry window and door lintels. End chimney stacks may be original. Roof overhangs porch to create balcony-like area and end gable. The historical information. The architect and the builder was the Claremont Manufacturing Company. Bought this lot with no mention of buildings in October 1832. In 1834, the company sold it with a brick store back to the Ephraim Tyler, Austin Tyler, and Timothy S. Gleason and William Rossiter. That was in 1835. It was referred to as the Rossiter and Clement store. As William Rossiter and Zenas Clement began buying up interest in the property, Clement sold out to Putnam. Okay. So anything else needs to be read on that? Kind of a hard one to read. The
No.
counting room or business office of the Claremont Manufacturing Company was located in a corner room over Rossiter and Clement's store near the lower bridge. Good enough.
Yep, sounds good to me. And they're saying that they know the building was there as of 1830s and there was groceries in the late 1890s, general store in 1904.
Yep. So it's
Yep, so it's had a lot of use.
servers and
Okay, so now we're going to go through the review criteria. So does the building have historic, architectural, or cultural value?
yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's at the highest rating of 3, so I'd say absolutely yes. Let's see. Definitely has historic value. It does have architectural value. It was a nice Greek Revival style. And cultural value,
It's been a store.
yeah.
Several retail places have been valued in the community over the years.
Obviously, it served that area. We know that that was a thriving area in the late 1800s, so that would have been a very integral part of the society back then. Are the proposed exterior design, arrangement, textures, and materials compatible with the existing buildings or structures and to the setting and surrounding uses?
Say yes.
Absolutely.
I would agree. They want to continue using wood and, when possible, or if possible, brick in some areas. So yes, I would say it's compatible. And are the scale and size of the proposed improvements compatible with the existing surroundings, including height, width, street frontage, number of stories, roof type, facade, openings such as windows, doors, etc., and architectural details?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. Just looking down through the list to see if there's anything we can elaborate on that one.
Doors are being put back into original state. That's a
Yep.
commendation.
Yep, restoring the doors. I'd say even, well, I guess it's not the openings of the windows. I was gonna mention the shutters, but I guess that doesn't fit. Oh yeah, I guess it does, architectural details, so the shutters, restoring them to something that looks like it should fit mathematically with the window.
Right.
How will the proposed improvements, signs, lights, yards, off-street parking, screening, fencing, entrance drive, sidewalks, and landscaping affect the character of any building or structure within the district?
It's going to improve it.
Yeah, vast improvement.
Yep, I agree. Very, very good improvement. The sign is compatible. It looks like it's the right size for the building.
Absolutely.
Having the fencing to go around the HVAC system, it's very important. And what impact will the proposal have on the setting?
Very positive.
I agree. And
Yep.
is the follow-up to that question is, to what extent will the proposal help to preserve and enhance the historic, architectural, and cultural qualities of the district and the community?
A lot of things that they are doing are actually taking this building back to the original.
I would agree. It's very
Yep.
restorative.
So they're taking care of a lot of the cobbling together that's happened in the past and
Mm-hmm.
putting it back.
Okay, and then finally, is the proposal in keeping with the Secretary of Interior's guidelines for rehabilitation?
I don't think there's anything there that needs to
No,
be covered on that one.
no, I read through it earlier and nothing that sticks out. Okay,
Anything at all?
so who wants to make a motion?
How do we do it? Just move to accept this plan and with all the items written on the list given to us, do we need to read these items?
Do we need to read
I'll
them
lead.
line
Yes,
by
yeah.
line?
The way you stated it, I will just add them into the minutes from the
Yep,
application.
very good, with all the bullet points that we've discussed in this meeting.
Mm-hmm. I'll second that.
Okay, so,
Oh, do we need to add the option
oh,
continuing with the fence later?
yes.
Right.
Okay, and adding to
Oh.
this motion and giving the option to come back with details on the
Removal of the building and adding a
and
fence.
removal of the building and fencing or retaining walls.
Okay.
Yep.
So we have a first by Mr. Pope, second by Mr. Orlick.
So with that, do we have to put some form of a date to the option? How does that
No,
work?
I'd have it come back just as an amendment to the
Okay.
certificate like you did with Red River.
Okay.
Yep, very good.
Perfect.
Okay. So all those in favor?
Hi,
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, none, so the motion passes.
welcome to our,
Thank you.
welcome to our community.
Yep.
So, let me just get myself organized again here, I'm sorry. Okay, so the next item is a conceptual discussion. It's actually for 40 Union Street again, and this is just a discussion to propose an exterior mural. Is Phil Montenegro here? That was you. Okay, why don't you come on up to the podium over here. Go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
Make yourself at home.
Don't know how well you can see this.
No, I can see that. Isn't that one of those little pegboards?
Oh, yeah.
I forget what you call that.
There's a tripod over there if you want to set that up. Just noticed it. Thank you.
That would be wonderful. It's much more, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's going to work a lot better.
We're
Fighting gravity here. So you probably want to put it up here.
Very good. Much better. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, this is just, wanted to bring
some pictures from other murals. So, good evening.
Hi.
Again, my name is Philip Montenegro, and I live here in Ward 1 of Claremont. My proposal is to bring a mural, to add a mural to the Union Street building where Mona is proposing to have her chocolate factory. The mural that I'm proposing would be on the wall facing Main Street, where the bridge, which meets with the bridge, and this mural would be right, I believe, on a, not on the brick, but on the wood.
Okay.
And as part of the proposal, one of the things that I wanted to say was that this would not be directly painted onto the wood itself, but it would be a painting done separately and then added to the building so as not to harm or affect the building, the historic building, anyway. Just something that I thought could enhance the building, and since it's a great area, you're coming in from Vermont, there's a stoplight there. It's one of the first parts of the downtown that you see as you're coming into Claremont. I thought it might be a great place for a mural. I've done a mural here in town last summer. I was hired by Out of the Ordinary restaurant on Pleasant Street to do an 80-foot long by 10-foot tall or 10-foot high mural on their south-facing exterior wall. And I feel that the town could use more public art and murals, and I think it would attract a lot more business to shops downtown and just enhance certain parts of the town.
I have to say, I was going to Cumberland Farms this morning, and I was looking at that mural,
Oh, yeah.
which I look at quite often. But anyways, it definitely does enhance that building.
Thank you. Thank
Did
you
a
very
very
much.
nice job.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you can tell you're very talented by looking at your pictures.
Thank you. Well, and I should say, too, that these are not all mine. Some of these are also examples of murals and mosaics that were done by friends of mine in other areas, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Troy, New York, and Northampton, Massachusetts, too. And these are all public. This is all public art, and a lot of it was community done. So students, children, and people in the community came together and worked on these mosaics and murals.
What's your vision? What would you do for a mural for this building?
You know, I have not created a very firm concept yet because I wanted to propose the idea first and see what your thoughts were, being that it's on a historic building. But because the building will have a business that's related to chocolate and maple syrup, and certainly perhaps involving the river, I think a concept revolved around either maple and chocolate would be fitting for the business that would be inside.
Okay.
That would have to come back under signage, wouldn't it? I'm just wondering.
I don't know. This is the first time a mural has come to us, so
Really?
Yeah, this is new territory
at least in
for us.
the
so
last 8 years
yeah.
I've been on the board.
Not a problem. It's good to have new territories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, automatically, I don't see any problem with it at all. I don't
You guys
see-
are working together on this, right?
No, I mean, Bill called me and said, I am an artist, I would like to.
Okay.
And so my response, as you know, is if it's something the city would like, we would be happy to, include our building as, part of the public art, program that you're developing. So, but
Certainly certainly you would need to work together on this.
Of course, yeah.
And I wouldn't want to feel at all that we're trying to say that the city wants it. I think that would have to be something that you would want
Of course.
for me to be comfortable with that.
well, I'm coming from a perspective of it wouldn't be something I would proceed on unless the city found it to be an enhancement, for the community at large. So I'm receptive if it's something that the city wants.
So
I
when
mean,
you-
obviously the design would have to make some sense relative to the interactivities,
Of
but
course.
it wouldn't, have to be specifically the kind of art that we would do. If it'd be art that would be attracted to.
I would certainly encourage working together to come up with something that would be mutually agreeable. And,
Definitely. Yeah, I talked to a
you
couple.
know, it is a private business, and
Right, and I guess the city planning would also have to be included in the process to determine if,
it's just new to me, so I would
Yeah.
probably think so. Which is good, once again.
We're
Yeah.
on the building, so this is the side, I think, are you talking about this side, the brick side, but
No.
you're talking over here? or are
No,
we
the
on
side that is facing Main Street, and I believe there's a stoplight there. It's also the
Okay.
same size with same side that the bridge is on.
So it would be underneath the porch is what you're
Yes.
talking
Okay.
underneath that
All right, I'm
porch.
following you now.
Exactly. Just there's a just that one. I would say it's rectangular shaped. That area that's just below the porch and it's facing Main Street where the light is at the cross.
How large, like roughly, dimensions would you be looking at for this mural?
Shoot. Well, I'm not sure what the dimensions of that wall, the width and the height are, but it would be that size from everything
Would encompass
from where the concrete, I believe, is at the base up to the porch.
Right.
Probably stopping just below the porch.
Say, conceptual idea, it's so far so good. I'd say work with the building owner, it's your building, and something that's agreeable between the two of you, bring it back, and we can also work on the idea of what do we need to do.
My
But,
biggest
like I
thing-
say, you guys need to get together and make sure it's an agreeable and complementary to your use. If it's not, then that's certainly no benefit to us to approve it.
So my only concern, and I'm just throwing this out there, it's only because it is a level 3 building. It is in the middle of our, historic district. It's a big part of it. Obviously, our task here is to make sure that we're upholding the integrity of the historic
Yeah,
values of our
absolutely.
neighborhoods. So while I'm not opposed to there being a mural at all, I want to make sure that whatever it is doesn't detract from the beauty of this building itself and from the historic value of the neighborhood. Would you consider doing a mural that was of a more historic content, or you focus more on what we want to see with the chocolate and the maple?
Again, the concept or the design itself is up in the air. I would, like Scott was saying, I would definitely want Mona to be happy with that design, whatever it was. So certainly, if the element of the history, the historic district, worked into the design, I would certainly consider it.
I mean, I definitely want to see drawings and a more visual. I'm a very visual person, so I want to see what it would actually look like on the building. Maybe if we had another meeting where you could come back for more conceptual talks.
Yeah, and having your approval or your positive feelings on it, I would talk to Mona more, and we could develop a design together.
And if it doesn't fit what she's doing,
Yeah.
Right.
so
Well,
you,
given the location, we would be comfortable even if it wasn't specific to us. I mean, it's the bridge crossing. It's the
Yeah.
first thing people see when they slow down
Right.
before they enter. So what would be helpful to the city there? I mean, even if it were like, one of the 1800 drawings, right, of the people in the town,
Yep.
like the ones you have up at the visitor center. Those are interesting where you see the clothing even of the people that are from that time.
That would be an interesting concept.
I think we also.
I think that would be appreciated, but I just want to make sure that you're comfortable with
Yep.
this. I mean, without your like go ahead and being very enthusiastic towards it, I'd have a hard time.
I'd like to work on it if you're interested in it in a collaborative way. This is entire community. We're one
think-
building with one.
I think we'll need to make sure we're meeting all the standards we
Yeah.
have as well, because being a historic district, we also fall under, as you heard us going through the list of the Secretary of the Interiors,
Yeah.
we also fall under their guidelines, so we get
Yeah.
not trying to put any roadblocks in the way, but they're
No.
the same things we need to look at as we're going through, and if we don't look at them, we're in trouble.
But,
So-
I mean, on the other hand, it's good to think outside the box.
Yes.
Yes, it is, no, there's certainly
And
no problem.
like I said, I look at something, what's on out of the ordinary, and I think that enhances that building quite a bit.
Yeah.
Art and culture and
Right.
history, they do go hand in hand. I
Right.
just want to make sure that it's
Yeah,
thoughtful and that
we
we're
have
still
to-
sticking with where we need to be
Right.
on, as us as a board.
Yeah, we have to follow the same guidelines though as we went through when the ink factory was setting up there, because we had to look at the,
Oh, right. That's
yeah,
a-
so you see,
certainly
so we
understand
can't like
district
say one thing for one and one thing for the other, so we need to make sure we're consistent.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Not trying to put a damper on it,
And
but
I
just
would
so you
like
know what,
David's
know the battle we
input, too.
face, and
And one of the things that I always say on the planning board is, though, is I have no problem looking at each thing individually.
right.
I have no problem telling someone no and saying to another person yes.
No, that's
Due
good,
to
good
the
point.
circumstances, so.
But yeah, when you get the concept going further,
And it,
Yeah, no, I
and
mean,
feel free to bring a couple different designs, if
of course,
you know.
if it's possible to, if there are different ideas that could work for that space. I think the most important thing just to hit home is that that is, an entrance into town, a really important entrance into town coming into Claremont. It's a great building, and I think that it would be something that would only enhance it and could ramify into other areas in that neighborhood too, since there are other buildings that are historic but need some sensitivity also down there
I
too.
appreciate you using the word sensitivity.
Yeah, that's
no,
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate it.
diplomatic
Open to
way
it.
of putting it.
Oh,
Oh yeah. This is this is just a design that I did this past summer. Well, earlier than that, but it was for this summer for Wade's Place, actually, out on what is that actually? Is that Main? That's
Yeah, it's
still
Main
Main
Street,
Street,
yep.
right? Yeah.
it's a long street.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, it fell through.
Oh,
But certainly, this design could be something. I brought this forward to Mona when I approached her about the mural. This was supposed to go with the ice cream stand, girl, and her dress, becoming part of the river, since the river does run along there. But the river also runs along near Mona's business as well, so something like that could come in too. But
I personally kind of see something more historical,
I do too.
I like the idea of.
I like the history.
Right, anything, it's just more historical.
Yeah.
If it's gonna come in front of us, wouldn't it be neat if it was more historical?
Yeah, maybe a snapshot of what it looked like down there in the 1850s.
Also think it needs to enhance the business that you're bringing to our community.
Great, totally. Yep.
Enhance and advertise.
Appreciative of that. I guess it would depend what ultimately happens. I mean, initially, it's going to be a quiet place. It's going to be, chocolate manufacturing inside. Then if, things begin to take off, as we hope, we'll have to really move an operation someplace else if it's not big enough, and that will be a showcase building. And if that's the case, then it would be helpful, of course, to have something that has at least to do with maple,
Yeah.
attached to the building that would
Right.
draw some, visitors in, say, for, chocolate making class, right?
As I said when I did, you're going through a lot of effort to put in a really nice sign to match your company fonts. You're putting the various parts in the building and the replacements, the planter boxes and all this, and to enhance the product and make it a showcase building. Awnings and such, so.
which is great because that building.
Yeah, so I mean, make sure everything kind of
Attention.
flows together, I guess, and certainly benefits your efforts.
Certainly. I mean, if it were bright blue and fuchsia and green, and then the rest of the building is, all those neutral, golden maple tones, you'd certainly see the mural.
Yeah.
It would certainly see the real.
Yeah, so I guess that's the one thing, make sure it's whatever's going on, certainly enhances the business and the area.
Just a quick question. I know you mentioned it before, but I'm forgetting. What was the building originally? What was it built for originally? Just because you were mentioning the historic element of the mural, it might be-
Actually, could
There's a
we get
store-
him a copy of all that?
I have an extra.
And also maybe even the Secretary of the Interior guidelines, just so he
Yes.
knows, and our question things, so that
What
you
he
know what
knows.
we look at.
Yeah.
I mean, gives you an
Fair enough.
idea of the things that we need to ask and the things
Right.
that we are facing, and
certainly
Started
look
out
at.
as an office, huh?
Yeah, there was an office in there. It was a grocer for several years.
Yeah,
It was
so
a
we
meat
can get all
market.
that for you. You can get this historic sheet, the whole bit.
That'd be great. Yeah. I mean, just throwing it out there, maybe something from, talking about the history, something that it started with and something that it is now, somehow forging those two together.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you come back with for a design.
yeah, no, I appreciate your time and your support.
When you come back with the design too, if it'd be helpful, again, I'm visual. If you could take a picture of where it's going to go on the building and maybe try to match it up so we can see what it would actually look like on the building.
What I'd love to do is something similar to this, like make
Yes.
a nice little model that actually incorporates the building, like maybe a photograph of the building with the concept.
Yes, that way we could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
That'd make it much, you'd see it right away.
Yeah,
you'd know.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Okay. So there's nothing under other on our agenda. Do we have any
Did you receive
correspondence?
that thing from CMA Engineers?
Yeah, what is, just Forrest, I don't know if you're going to discuss that with us, the one from CMA Engineers, sidewalk and rail trail improvements.
I'm not entirely sure why it's been given.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll leave that for when we know.
Okay. Well, so that's it then? Anyone have any business they'd like to discuss?
The master plan, when do we start that process? It'd just be the question. I know we can't decide that.
Your group starts October 1st.
October 1st. Okay.
And there are several people who have jumped on board to be part of that subcommittee.
Okay.
So you will not be carrying the whole of it yourselves.
Okay.
Yay.
So so the best thing to do is get really familiar with the current chapter. Read it with an eye. Is this the way you like it? Do you want to, you can either rewrite it, tweak it, whatever feels most appropriate to you. We're looking for a plan that is highly actionable, so very specific language. We'd like the chapter to be formatted in a way that this is our current situation, and these are our future challenges and opportunities.
Last night at the city council meeting, we actually discussed a lot of the downtown TIF district, and perhaps that discussion should be thought of as we look towards this master plan. And the outcome of which is, I'm not sure how it's going to go, but there's been a lot of previous history and such on that TIF district that may actually come to bear in our discussions. So as that starts to bear more fruit here on the 13th, I'll certainly get as much information as I can, because I believe the thought is to create another task force to look at this and take the information from previous task forces and such on and so forth. I can't really say much more because there's still a lot of discussion to be had, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
This may actually have a lot of bearing on what we do as well. So.
And that's it? I accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First, Mr. Pope, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Warlick. Let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.